It feels so good to have some ice. Listen, in case y'all been wondering where I am, to my three followers, I actually just finished a 10-day meditation retreat center, you want to call it, on Vipassana meditation. So I have the little pamphlet here so I can kind of give you a rundown about like some of the stuff that we did. Basically, this is my third time scheduling this, and I'm telling you in my car, about to be on my way to go back home, because I was like, okay, it's fresh in my head. Let me just explain this because people are going to be asking, and I'm going to be having to tell the story over and over again. I'm like, just watch the video. Look at my blog, whatever, when I type it up. But 10 days, no phone. So you see those memes, they're like, oh, you'll get $5 million if you can stay in the house for 30 days, no phone or something like that. And you're like, yeah, I can do it easy. I don't think it's that easy anymore. So including no phone, you bring no writing materials, no reading materials. So you're not like taking notes or anything about the technique. Just no dance, like singing, dancing in public. You're also on noble silence, so you're not talking to the other meditators. They're separating you by gender. So women have their own walking paths. They have their own dining hall, sleeping quarters and everything, and so do the men. And that's for the whole 10 days. The 10th day, you can talk to people at certain places, and you can link up at certain places, but then you're still separated, when it comes to eating, and at a certain time period, you go back to separation for the rest of that day, and you leave. Today is the 11th day in the morning after you do some cleaning and stuff. And so it was hard. It was hard to not just be away from your phone and be away from communicating with your friends and stuff and things like that, but it's like, in my field and everything I've done in my jobs and stuff, I've been dealing with people, from working at a museum, talking to families and stuff, from I think I was a counselor before that at my elementary school, to working in residential life in college, to group personal training, to being an actor, and so with acting stuff too, you learn to people watch. You want to watch behavior, so it's like you're not supposed to be looking at people in this thing. You're supposed to be watching your path and walking and not really looking, because you don't want that distraction. You want to feel like you're working in solitude. There were times you can talk where you can ask the teacher certain things, or time periods you can ask them questions, and I'll go through the schedule. And then also you have like a course manager who, if like you need the materials for your bunk area or whatever, or cleaning materials or questions and stuff, you can kind of ask some stuff, but nothing like, being friendly in a sense. You didn't want to cause that distraction for yourself. So this is the type of schedule you had, right? So I have like the little pamphlet with the schedule. So 4 a.m. they have gongs, so you'll get a wake up gong. They're going around the land doing a gong. The women's side is doing it, the men's side is doing it to wake people up. Wake up bell, 4:30 to 6:30 a.m. Meditation in your hall or in your room. So it's the option to go to the actual hall to meditate, or you can meditate in your room. I definitely missed a few of these. So the first day, I didn't get much sleep before I drove here. It's like 4.5, 5 hours. And I woke up that next day, because the first day you basically come there, you try to be there before 5, you're doing your last paperwork, your waiver and stuff, which you got multiple times already in the email to show you what you'll be signing. And you do the waiver, and you give your phone, whatever else you want to put away for management to put away. And usually the people are putting their keys in there, so you're not getting access to your car anymore. So you got to take everything out that you want, that you're going to have in your room and stuff, and then you give it to them. And so that's it with the phone. And so from that, you have an orientation where they give you the rundown of stuff they told you in the email, but just reiterating certain things and the areas. And then at like 8 o'clock, you have your first meditation at 8 p.m. And then from that on to like the 10th day is just you're following the rules. So that morning that started the first day, I woke up. I'm out. We have a bunk bed situation, so I'm on the top bunk. and like the air conditioner, they have each room, small room, they have an air conditioner, and it's like right there where the ladder is. So I'm like broad shoulder trying to get up and everything, get up there. I'm like, oh God, I gotta do up and down all this time. And my roommate's on the bottom one. And so when the meditation comes, he's going to meditate in the room. So am I. So I just stay on my bunk. He's on the floor with the pad or whatever. So I'm like sitting up here, boom, I'm gonna meditate, 4 a.m. or 4:30. I look up or I look down. He's staring right at me. I'm like, all right, I got this. Same thing, snore again. I look down. He's staring right at me. Third time, I wake up. He's gone. He's not even in the room anymore. So I guess he went into the meditation hall. So after that, I was like, oh, I'm gonna just lay down and meditate. Nah, I fell asleep. Later on that day, I saw that the sheets were off his bed and his suitcase was on the side, and I was just like, So I went to the course manager. I said, hey, I see my roommate's packed up or whatever. He's like, yeah, you can move to the bottom bunk. And I'm like, is this something I did? He said, well, he said he had an issue with snoring. I was like, oh, snap. So I ended up not having a roommate, which worked out for me because he left. I don't know if he went to another room that had a roommate, because I heard that we were pretty packed at that time. But it's the thing, people will leave because they can't handle the process. Okay, so 6:30 to 8 a.m. is a breakfast. You'll hear a gong for that. Every time there's something changing, you'll hear it, and you can go to breakfast. And breakfast was usually oatmeal, cereals. You know, you had different types of Ezekiel bread, like regular, and then cinnamon raisin and fruit. And so that was the same option for breakfast every day. You know, you had honey and stuff. You had tea you can have. But the whole meals that you would get were vegetarian. Mind you, this whole thing is, you don't pay any money. They only accept money from people who've done the course before to keep with the tradition of the meditation, that type of meditation and what they do, and their precepts that they have. So you have certain precepts. I'll tell you that later. So breakfast 6:30 to 8 a.m. 8 to 9 a.m. group meditation in the hall. So you have to go to the hall to meditate there, and then you have 9 to 11 a.m. You can stay in the hall or you can go back to your room to meditate. So a lot of people during those certain times, they would try to stay a little bit longer to meditate. They might go out, walk for a little bit in nature, and then come back in. Some might just go to their rooms. Some people, didn't really do the actual 2 hours after that mandatory requirement. They didn't do the full thing. And there's many times I didn't do the full thing because you feel like sometimes you're depleted and it's hard for you to sit and do it, 11 to 12 was lunch break. 12 to 1 was interviews. So like you can sign up for an interview to go meet privately with the assistant teachers, and I'll tell you why they're assistants later. And you'll can talk to them about your questions about the technique part that you learned that day or whatever. 1 to 2:30 is also meditation in your hall or in your room. 2:30 to 3:30 was group meditation in the hall, and that's the requirement. Again, you go back to the hall for that specifically. You have to go for that one. 3:30 to 5, option to meditate in the hall or in your room according to teacher's instructions. So sometimes when you did that mandatory meditation, they would say, old students, you can go back to your room. New students, you stay here. New students, you can go to your room. Old students, stay here. Or you both stay there. And usually a few of those times in that midday portion, they would call up 5 of us at a time in front of the teacher, and they would ask, are you feeling this thing? Are you feeling this thing? They'll ask a specific question that had to do with the instructions of that meditation part that you were learning that level that day. 5 to 6, tea break. Tea break was just tea and fruit. And then old students couldn't even have tea with milk. I think, and they couldn't have fruit either. They can only have tea. And then 6 to 7, group meditation in the hall. That's a required one. 7 to 8:15, you had a discourse. So we watched a video about the original, the teacher who created this not Vipassana, but the latest one who had taught and helped create all these centers. Then after that, discourse. So it's that meditation requirement. You watch the video, you have another meditation after that, And then you can stay in there for like questions with the teacher a little bit, and it's like more public forum. So I stayed a lot of times for like 10-15 minutes because my shower time was 9:15. You can only shower during the rest and lunch times. You couldn't shower when people were supposed to be meditating to not disturb them. And so I would stay in there to listen to the questions, because maybe it was a question that I could have, learned from. And then I would go and take my shower. And lights out are at 10 p.m. It says 9:30 on here, but 10 p.m. lights out, and so you can't really do anything after 9:30, like shower and stuff. You're not supposed to, because lights are out. So that's the schedule. Now, they're assistant teachers because we learn from these tapes from that same guy who taught them. He made tapes, so they would play the tapes, and he would go through the process of meditations, telling us what to do, subtleness of the breath. So the first 3 days we were just focusing on this area and the subtleness of the breath, feeling the coolness, the itching, whatever would pop up for just that area to really hone you in your awareness of that area. And so that was for the first 3 days, just that. And so we're learning from these tapes each and every time we go for that required sitting. We're listening to the audio of that, and the teachers are there to kind of support you when you're asking questions and stuff like that, because he's passed away, the guy who made the audio tapes. But I think a lot of the centers that are currently here work directly under him, were taught by him. And so they're assistant teachers to him. And so the discourse video is actually a video of him. So every discourse will start, the seventh day is over, and he'll say that, he'll talk, and he'll basically explain the purpose of learning this aspect of this part of the technique and stuff like that. He will give great stories. You can find the discourse on YouTube, they said, so I'm definitely going to find it and try to link it. But it's great because he makes great analogies. He brings these stories they have in India to kind of teach you what it means to live that type of life in that way, and why you're doing what you're doing. So it was very good. I think a lot of people should see these videos. Even if you don't want to practice the technique, you'll understand why this technique exists. And this is, he says, the technique that Buddha originally, was doing. There's a lot of different types of Buddha, but I forgot this main Buddha that was lost. He found and reinvigorated, got lost again, and was found again. And it's your path to enlightenment is all like, the purpose is to be non-sectarian. So you can't bring any spiritual items there, any jewelry. You can't say prayers, mantras, and stuff like that. They don't want any of that because they want it to be universal. You start to think about a God, or put an image of a God in it, or a mantra. Now you're not looking at the naturalness of your body. Now you're making it a certain religion, and so that means everybody can't practice. That's not what they're about. That's not what it is. And he says that takes out what is supposed to be a universal thing for anybody to do, of any religion, that they can do it. So that was interesting. Let me see. So I was talking about the 4:30s that I missed. Lunch was everything vegetarian, so I was like, lunch was the only thing that really changed. And you would be in there like, oh, what's going? Hopefully it'll be good. Sometimes it was soup. I remember the day they had the mac and cheese. I was like, oh, ain't your grandmother's mac and cheese, but thank you. And they had cornbread. Oh, that was a good day. And I think the next day they had leftover cornbread too. But so I took some of that. Some of the soups were good. It was different. I realized the beans, they taste like what you're cooking it with. So if you at least cook it with cool stuff, it's just the texture that's the issue for some people. But I dealt with it. The rice, and surprisingly, I eased in very well to like the food, like not being hungry at all. And a lot of times I was going, especially breakfast, I was not hungry, but I was eating it because I didn't want to be hungry later. But I was not hungry eating it. I wasn't even hungry with the tea. I'm like, how many combinations can I do? An apple, or orange, or a banana with some tea? I was tired. I was tired of tea. They didn't have ice either. So like, oh my God, I don't like water, plain water without ice. So that was difficult. Luckily I had my BCA powder that I used. And so I at least had that in my jar, but it was like lukewarm, whatever water. It was regular water, filtered. So I'm so glad I got ice now. And I would say, man, you need to bring a foam roller, a ball to roll on, something, because I was sore every day. The precepts. Let me tell you what the precepts are. Because the old students have added, so abstain from killing any being. So we had these buckets with a cardboard top, like these small like yogurt things containers. So if you had a bug in your room or something like that, you were supposed to relocate it. You get it to go in there, put it in there, and let it go outside. And so a lot of times, every time to just bring it with me to the shower, because there was always a frog in the shower, a little small green frog. And I would like go in there, check, put my stuff down, go back to my room to get something, come back, the frog's there, and I gotta go back to the room, get the bucket, grab the frog, and get it out. And so had to deal with that. And then the bugs wasn't too bad. They were bad when I go on a nature walk. So I was just like, yo, I'm not doing this nature walk after this second one, because the mosquitoes was killing me. But I ended up doing it anyway, because there's so much time, you're so like bored. Like at one point four of us were watching a squirrel eat mushrooms. That's how bored we were. I was analyzing rocks. I was people watching, honestly, because I had nothing else to do. I was looking at the trees. I was looking at insects. I was like, oh, there's 2 carpenter bees over here. Oh, dragonflies, they like to sit on the clothing lines. That's another thing. They don't have any washers. And so when you hand wash clothes with your hand in a bucket, and you would hang it on a clothesline. So there were certain things that you did as a group. You had to sign up for cleaning. So like every other day, somebody had to clean the sink and toilets. Somebody had to clean the showers and floors. And most of the cleaning stuff was like vinegar, water solution. They were very trying to be sustainable, and so like they had compost and stuff like in a dining hall. So like once you were done eating, you would use a bucket to clean off your plate a little bit, and then place it, and then they'll clean it in an industrial cleaner. But you were getting all the gunk and stuff off of it, and then you were composting or putting recycling in whatever bin that's supposed to go in there. And they had servers, so there's servers there everybody volunteers, but the servers come there to sit and serve you. And so like they're preparing the food and stuff like that, and they're doing all the stuff they have to do, including also coming to the mandatory meditation times to also do that. So they do a lot of work. And they say like really, yes, you can only donate after you do this, but really it's like the volition. It's not the amount, it's the volition. And if you really want to feel it, come back and serve, and you'll see how much that you can give with that. So yeah, killing any being, abstain from stealing, abstain from all sexual activity. So being in this type of environment helps you practice those precepts for those 10 days. Abstain from telling any lies. You can't talk, so you can't really lie. Abstain from all intoxicants. You're here, you can't bring tobacco, none of that stuff here. You're not drinking it, so you're able to follow that. And then if you're an old student, you have to abstain from eating after midday, abstain from sensual entertainment or bodily decoration. So I'm guessing that's jewelry, but they told us we couldn't do that either. Abstain from high or luxury beds. And so that was interesting. So like we had bunks, but even in it, they had nicer rooms and stuff. They also had, some of them have cells where you can go in and just meditate in there. So when they had the instructions, and sometimes they didn't have to come back, they can go into that cell and meditate, but still listening to the instructions and not have to be in a hall. And I was able to see one of theirs, today. One of the guys showed me. But yeah, it's a group effort to keep the place clean, which was cool. It's like a community. Everybody's, putting in their effort. So even today, we were done at we had another meditation at 4:30 in the morning. That one was required. And then we were done, and we had to sign up for, they asked people to sign up for cleaning tasks. And so me and somebody else, we helped clean the dining hall and stuff like that, because the servers were done at that point. Their last day was that night before, and so we were helping clean everything to get everything ready, because this Wednesday coming up, they're having another group. This place gets pretty like they say, like they open up signups at 6 a.m. every 3 months or something like that. At 7 a.m. it's full, so it's pretty popular now. And I heard some people who've been to different places that this is one of the nicer facilities that they have, and they're building more spaces now. And so it's really cool to see, in that the assistant teachers, like some of them live on that area. and they have their own way of living, and making sure they're studying these types of books that relate to the Dhama and Vipassana meditation. What else? What else am I missing? Yeah, like I was sore as hell. Oh, so how I felt. So day 3 was very hard for me in terms of like I was beating myself up because I was in so much like pain when it came to sitting. Because day 4 is when you actually they say don't move for the hours, sit. And but day 3 I couldn't do it, and I had to ask for a chair. I was trying the configuration with the pillows and stuff, but it just wasn't working for me. Like, you want to be able to work through the pain, because the whole point is like, once you're starting to get these subtleties of you're feeling these sensations, you're going deeper and deeper into the mind to realize that your mind is what starts everything. So your mind, before you act out against somebody who you feel wrongs you or something like that, your mind starts that thought process. Your body reacts to it. Like, the easiest one they say is like, you can look at anger. Your respiration gets faster. You might change colors, you might feel heat. And so being able to sense these things beforehand, you're able to stop that before it goes anywhere, before you respond, and process it first, and understand who is doing this to you. Who is this person? What is the image you have of yourself or whatever? Why are you going to respond? Is that going to bring you more misery yourself? Are you going to be stressed out, like, because they did that one thing to you and they walked away, and now you're pissed at that person every time you see him? You're bringing yourself misery every time you do that, because now that one thing that they did to you now is constantly affecting you, and you're letting it affect you. So being able to do these things, this processing, to be able to sense yourself and sense these subtleties. So when you're doing it, after the 3 days of the breathing, you're sensing stuff at your body. You're kind of sweeping your body, going through and feeling all the sensations, whether it's a tickle, a scratch, is it pulse, is it electricity, whatever. You're not reacting. You're learning that they're impermanent. They will pass. Like anything, they're going to pass. And so it helps you learn to not react to certain things. It helps calms your mind. And I'm paraphrasing, like, this is 10 days worth of stuff, and so if you look at the discourse, and he'll talk thoroughly about all this different stuff and the technique, and how, and he talks about, like, a lot of people, they'll go and they'll say, I'm this religion, and it's just like you have blind faith sometimes. You're sitting there, you're doing these offerings, or you're saying, oh God, if you fix this for me, I'll give you this. You're not trusting in your God. If you're asking for something, you're only doing this if you get something in return. It's like if you believe in Jesus Christ, are you showing the compassion that he showed when he was getting crucified and beaten? He was saying they don't know what they're doing. I still love them. That is how you are revering, or you're walking in life with that person, And so he beautiful explanations. I'm not doing it justice the way he goes and he talks about this. So once I honestly, when I got to day 7 or 8, that's when I was like, yeah, it's almost over. I'm going home. But when I got into that chair, like, it changed for me. Like, I definitely was able to, like, definitely feel the subtleties and get into it quicker sometimes. And you also don't want to crave. You don't want to crave for the good sensations, because they come and go, and then they might happen one sitting, they might not happen the next sitting. So you just want to observe the good and the bad, because you also don't want to crave certain things, because that can put you in a bad place. Just like you don't want to have aversion towards certain pain, sensations, because that also can put you in a certain situation. You just want to know that they're impermanent, know that they will pass, and then that way you can know how to handle the ups and downs of life too. Like, you're gonna have some great ups, but then you start craving that when you're in the downs, instead of understanding that the downs is going to pass as well. Let's see what else. I'm not editing this video either, so y'all can get what y'all get. Just like before, that's why I wanted to do it as soon as I could, because I just wanted to, like, get that out there so you can understand. So yeah, complete 10-day course. A lot of people came from Florida. It was a little bit closer for certain people that came from Florida. It's not a lot of these in this area I'm at. This is the closest one to Atlanta. This is 5 hours away in southern Georgia, or I guess it's southern. It's more like southeast, I guess, more to the side near the water. But yeah, I wanted to sing, I wanted to dance and stuff like that. So the 10th day, so the 4th day is when you start that sitting. They want you to sit for the whole time, and not move. You can only move your hands. No, you can't move your hands, your eyes, or your feet. On the 10th day, that is when at 10 a.m. we were able to talk to each other. If you had significant others or something, like, if you wanted to go to the other side, you could. At certain places, you got to meet with them and talk to them as well. And we were just all talking to each other, having great experiences, like talking a lot. And we exchanged information, numbers and stuff. And it was great. And I love doing stuff like this because too, you realize it's like you meet people that you would never cross paths with. I crossed paths with a retired neurosurgeon. Like, when we see each other, besides me being a patient or something like that, and we had a great time. We were cracking up, laughing at certain things, talking about certain things, but it was hard too because I could not sleep during the I forgot to mention that, like, my mind was going crazy. So the teacher said, don't make life. I would think about, cutting my hair. Next time I get a great opportunity for a role or something, I'm definitely going to cut it. I'm just like, it might be time for that change in my career, for that to help my career. But certain things like talking to people, love or whatever, the craziest things were keeping me up at night, thinking about people, thinking about regrets and things I should have done differently, thinking about people I want to say certain things to. I could not sleep. I would get in there 9:30 or 10, I'm in the bed, whatever. I'm not sleeping until 11:30, 12. I'm just up. Nights I'm crying or just like thinking about certain things, laughing at and smiling, thinking about certain things. But it's just like, they call it the storm. It's like, and they're saying that it shows that the technique is working, but you could think something that is very good for you, something that you should do now, you go home and do it, and it might work in the opposite of your best interest. And so that's why they were like, take a week before you decide to do any life-changing things. But overall, it was challenging, but a rewarding experience because when you understand, like, because I wasn't meditating at all. I knew from all my reading of different cultures and stuff, a lot of cultures, a lot of religions use some type of meditation. When you understand the energy that you can have within yourself, and that power, a lot of the stuff you might think is woo-woo, metaphysical, whatever, you realize it's not too far off. You got to understand that the energy that you can generate, you can feel within yourself, and you can understand like how people in the past, they were doing this for a long time, and they probably were able to heal other people. And I was talking to that doctor, and those people feel this way too, and you just gotta, explore that. I think we have a lot of capabilities that they're dormant now because we don't practice them. Like people back in the days, that before they had all this technology, before they had all these religions and all these, like, you got to do it this way, you can't do this or that. A lot of, like, that's why you see kids that have these capabilities and they see things, or they can hear things, or they have this great intuition. Is because they have not been pushed down yet. They have this little bit of time where they can explore before all these different influences start telling them you can't do this, you can't do this, and now that starts to get dormant, and those things that they can do. And like, if you embrace that in a child from an early age, all they're going to do is grow in that, and they're going to learn how to handle it. And if you can't teach them how to handle it, take them to somebody that can do these things naturally, and they'll be able to teach them how to handle that. But yeah, it was good experience. If you have any other specific questions or something, comment, and I'll definitely try to let you know about it. But it definitely is, it's hard to get 10 days out of your life to do it. But it will be beneficial if you can do it. And I really hope I can, keep this practice going in my life. And I do want to learn other techniques. It's different types of meditation, because maybe this is not the best one for me. I don't think this is the only path to enlightenment, but it's great that is universal, and it's like, this is your path, this is your way to, you have to go and practice this. We're not just telling you, oh, this is it, this is what you do. You need to do it to understand that it's for you. And that's great, because a lot of times people will tell you, this is what you need to believe in, this you need, and they don't have the proof themselves, and they don't encourage you to go find your own path. They tell you this is the path you have to walk. No, they present to you, this is a method to get you on your path, and then you have to fight through. Oh, and another thing is too, like, when you're doing this process of sensations, and not reacting to, like, there's a lot of things that's gonna probably boil you up from past things, and the whole thing is like, you want to release that misery. You want to understand that it's impermanent and stop letting it affect you. But definitely check out the discourses. He explains it a lot better. I'm definitely going to try to find it and tag it if I can. But yeah, that was the experience.